Hey guys, so we have one of these rare occasions where we're in an area called Miwaleni. I work here sometimes. We support about 70 children in the school, but these kids here have, I presume many of them, or all of them, have never seen a white person, and they've just run away first of all, but now slowly they're starting to understand that we're just normal humans. It's very, very sweet. Hey guys, so I just recorded another video, but I want to record this one because this stirred a lot of feelings in me this morning. I went to an area we called Miwaleni, and when I first moved to Tanzania, there was no electricity at Miwaleni. It was very cut off, traditional village, most people living in mud and stick houses. Very beautiful, very, very beautiful, and very communal way of life, very stunning. But also very attached to nature. There's a child who we helped down there with school fees, he was in a video before. His child was killed by a leopard in the forest down there. So it's a very connected to the wilds of Tanzania, if you like. And because of that, the children sometimes live a traditional life, and we support many children in that village, I think it's around about 70 children, a little less or a little more. But those children, they are connected to the primary, but there are many children out in the forests down there who are not connected to education, and they're living a traditional life. And I'm not going to force education on those children. If they have a few acres of land and their parents are growing their own food and they're learning traditional skills, then it's up to the parents. If they want to educate their children, they can, but if they don't and the children can provide for themselves from the land, we're not here to step in and do anything about that. However, part of that beautiful way of life is the children don't get out, so they don't go to town, they don't come up to areas like Uchira, which is but 7 kilometers away from where they are. And so many of them don't see white people. And today I went down there. Fritzi's mother is here, and her partner. And they came to see where Fritzi has moved naturally, and it was not an easy thing for them to do. They had to save up to get here, so it's a big experience for them. They're only here for 2 weeks, and they're taking a rescue dog when they go as well, which is quite fun for us because they're moving one of our dogs to Germany. And I took them down because there are lots of baboon in this area, and I wanted to walk through the forest and let them sit with a troop of baboon in the natural habitat, which I've done many times, and it's very powerful, beautiful experience, because within 5 or 10 minutes they'll start trying to communicate with you with body language, which is really profoundly a powerful thing to happen when you just sit alone with these beings who want to connect with you because you look like them in some way, very beautiful. And I took them down, but we only saw a few in the distance, and we never got a chance to go deep into the forest to track them down like I normally would. And I did hear some noises in the forest, so I went to have a look, and we found a group of children who were playing in the river that runs through the forest. And their initial reaction was they ran away. They got really scared because they hadn't seen any white people before. And they ran, and they left a very small child who was probably around about 2 years of age on his own, crying and screaming, and they didn't come back. And I had to shout, I would shout Chikurum Toto, meaning come and take this child, don't be scared of us, I was saying in Swahili. So the more they heard me speaking Swahili, my Swahili's getting better, then they came. So eventually we carried on after we moved away and let them take this crying child. We carried on, and they started coming to find out what was going on. What are we is the question in their minds. And I got some footage. This is the first year of my life I've had a smartphone, would you believe? The first year of my life is 2017 that I've used a smartphone. And I'm carrying it with me, and I got one on purpose for that reason, because I don't always have a camera, but I can always have a phone in my pocket that'll take a video. And thankfully, I took a video of these children meeting white people for the first time. And it stirred something really profound and powerful in me, because the world is a really big place, guys. There are very big continents like Africa, and the South Americas, and Asia, and if you go up to Russia, and it's huge. The world is a huge place, and sometimes it feels small when you live in the West, because it's all so connected, but not necessarily connected in a great way all the time. And it made me see a very pure part of the world. Now, I did an experiment when I lived in the West, where I would indulge in the media, and I was researching the elite, and it's very easy to get into a negative place when you do that, and to start to think that the world is just a dark place. And I was doing that, and eventually I said, you know what, I'm going to switch off all my media for a week and do a media fast, and I'm not going to watch any TV, listen to any music, watch any digital screens whatsoever. I'll just be by myself in nature. And this Western system I lived in, which seemed so horrible and evil, all of a sudden, it wasn't. Because every day when I went out my door, there was no trouble. There was no crime. There were just people. I was lucky to grow up in a village and live in a village at that time in England, but there were just people saying, "Good morning," or "How are you?" There was none of this stuff. None of this broken aspects of society were present in my reality until I put the digital media on, until I put the fragmented light into my life. And this is true of the reality for millions or billions of people on this planet who don't have technology. And yeah, life can be tough, people are sick, people can be hungry, as is often the case here. And that side of things is very difficult, but that just becomes part of the natural cycles of life, that you need to find food, that you need to fight sickness, as we all do. But the terror I speak of is absent from their lives. The idea that our systems are broken and that there are monsters everywhere and things like these wars, etc. These children don't know anything about it. And to them, life is very pure. They might be hungry sometimes, they might struggle, they might have to work hard. But the world itself, the masterpiece that is the world we live in itself, to them is not a dark thing. It's just as it is, and it's just life. And to many of us in the West, I fear that it's very easy when we have too much media to find ourselves believing that the world we live in is a very dark place. But when you come to meet persons who don't have that media at all, you see that it's not. This world is beautiful, and we might have to work hard to get food like everything else that has the privilege of living here. And we might have to work hard to build a shelter like many other beings who live here. But that is just part and parcel of the experience of existence. But to reject the existence of something terrible, I don't see that happening here. But I see it happening in the West with many persons. I've had persons say that humans experiencing consciousness is not a good thing. It's not fair. It's like a prison. But I believe that that is mainly influenced by the horrible light that we take in from our digital screens sometimes. And all this stuff that we know about on the world's a big place, so just because it's happening somewhere in the world, even if there was a war broke out, these children would still probably never know anything about it. They would still probably just live in peace. They would still probably just live in harmony and look for their food and grow their food and play in the water, in the river. And they wouldn't know anything about it. And I think that's a very beautiful thing to realise, that if you just zoom out a bit, there are many places you can go on Earth which are not connected to that system. I heard thunder. Thunder coming. It's not connected to that system. And that brings a great deal of inner peace to myself. Because that means that the world is not owned. Because it hasn't yet had its chance to put its tentacles everywhere. Because there are children so pure here, playing in that forest river, that they'd never even seen a white man before. So they've never seen of media, they've never heard of ISIS, they've never heard of terror attacks. They might have known pain and suffering, they might have known death, people dying, malaria, all this. But those are just natural cycles of life. It's not evil, it's not human evil that they're witnessing. And this, I think, is very important. That there are persons on this planet who do not witness human evil. And what does that tell us? Is, I think, what I'm trying to express. If those children have never seen evil being expressed from a human, they're likely never to express it themselves. And then we need to start asking ourselves, how come living that simple life in the forest means that they don't see that? And what is it about our way of life that means that we see this expression of human evil all too often? So, okay. On that note, I'm going to get off before it rains on my head. I think it's getting a bit dark overhead, which is very welcome because we need this rain. Much love, guys. Bye.